Good morning, good evening to everybody who's joining from different parts of the world this morning. For us here in Charlotte, welcome to another session of Writers Beyond Borders. My guest today is Ruth Adeyemi, and here's my introduction. Ruth Adeyemi grew up in a small town in Ekiti State, Nigeria. She started the Psalm Life SEO agency to equip entrepreneurs with digital growth strategies and tools to build sustainable brands. In college, she started a hobby blog, and before long, her traffic grew from 1,000 monthly visits to over 25,000. Ruth has helped over 300 entrepreneurs and bloggers grow their brands through her business blogging and strategic blog marketing strategies. She has a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry from the Jacksonville University and is currently getting a doctorate degree in pharmacy from the University of Florida. Welcome, Ruth, and thank you for joining us today. Over to you now.
Hello. Thank you so much for that introduction, Mr. Rabi. Really appreciate you. Hi, everyone. I hope you are doing very well. It's currently 9:32 here, Eastern Standard Time, but whatever time zone you're in, welcome. And today I'm going to be talking about how to get more traffic to your, writing blog, author's blog, whatever blog you may have where you showcase your writing. We're going to talk about 2024 updates and things you need to know on how to drive traffic. And as Ms. Rabi has mentioned, I'm the one for that topic because I've been talking about SEO since 2019, 2020. Yeah. And now I have my SEO agency where I work with business owners and influencers to improve the visibility of their website. So I'm here to teach you the strategies that I have used to help my clients get to the top pages on Google, and also that I have used on my website to be featured by Google several times. All right. So hopefully that gives you the confidence to listen to what I have to say and take notes. All right. So moving on, what I'd like to share with you is a wheel that I've been using since this year started, because as some of you may know, to get traffic on a website, search engine optimization strategies are a no-brainer. That's something that you need to have down, right? You need to understand the different strategies that you will need to implement on your website to ensure that your target audience, they see what you're talking about. They see your write-ups, they see your books that you're trying to sell, or whatever the case may be. Now, with search engine optimization, just to define that before I get into the rabbit hole, is search engine optimization. These are free strategies that you implement on your website that leads to improved visibility. You get more traffic, increased brand awareness. And I use the word free because you also have search engine marketing, and that is not free. That is when Google asks you to pay money, some sort of money, to promote your website content, be it your product, be it your blog post, whatever the case may be. But then SEO, on the other hand, which I'm going to use moving forward instead of search engine optimization, it's a free way. Once you know the strategies, the SEO strategies, and you implement them, at that point, you don't even need to pay Google to promote your content for you, because you are using a sustainable way, which is SEO, a sustainable way to drive traffic to your website and sustain the traffic. And the beautiful thing is, even if you pay Google, using SEM, search engine marketing, but you don't have these SEO strategies implemented on your website already, by the time you're done paying and the advertising period elapses, all these customers are going to be gone. Even during the advertising phase, if your website is not properly optimized, they're going to come to the website and they will bounce off of that website. And at that point, your money is not yielding excellent results as you would expect. So regardless whether you would decide to pay, which is not wrong if you're a new brand and you want a lot of traffic on your website in the early days, there's nothing wrong with you paying. But as much as you'd like to pay or you don't want to pay, SEO is still a fundamental strategy to have down on your website. So within the short minutes that I have, and I tend to talk a lot when it comes to SEO conversations and blogging, but I'm going to try my best to keep it very short and sweet and very, very straightforward. I'm going to share with you the main strategies that Google requires of every blogger, every website owner in 2024. Matter of fact, in March of 2024. And I'm being very specific because every year, Google rolls out a core update to let us know what factors they are using to rank content. This month, early this month, they rolled out a core update giving us like tips on the major things that they're looking at. And that's what I'm going to share with you. I'm not sharing the old information with you, but updated information. The first thing that you need to keep in mind, which I believe every writer here, I think you already have that advantage, is posting high quality content. As a writer, I feel like that's ingrained in you. You don't want to put any content out there that is subpar. You always want to do your best and you write content that moves people to take an action. That's what makes you a writer and differentiates you from other bloggers who just love to blog about something that interests them, but they're not necessarily a writer. But for you as a writer, you already have that advantage. So number one factor that Google looks at as of right now that I'm talking to you is high quality content. Now, what do I mean by that? Because you could define that in a lot of ways. By high quality content, Google is looking at 4 different things. And those 4 things are in the acronym WEAT. Right? So Google is looking at your experience in that industry. It's looking at your expertise, looking at your authoritativeness, and looking at your trustworthiness. And all these things are critical to how well your content is going to rank. By expertise, your about page should include the fact that you are an author or an author with 5-7 years of experience. So as Google bots, as they're crawling your website, they can tell that you have the experience, you have the expertise to own this blog and put out quality content. If you do not showcase that on your about page, there's no way Google is going to know that you have the knowledge. You are the expert in this field. So your about page should include the fact that you know what you're talking about, you've been doing this for years, and you're that go-to person. So on your about page, do a good job, sell yourself, let Google know, right? It's not you being prideful, it's you giving Google what it wants so your content can rank and they can see you as the expert in this industry, all right? So that will be the first thing, making sure that you're positioning yourself as the authority, sharing how long you've been doing this, right? Of course, you can talk about what led to your interest in writing and being an author, all of that, but still include those key factors. How long have you been doing this? Your years of experience, okay? And then when it comes to authoritativeness, that goes in the content as you're putting out the blog post, right? Are you saying, I think you should, right? When you're recommending things in your blog post, or you're saying, you should do this, right? There's a difference in tone. And I think we all can agree with me. I think you should is like, well, I'm not sure if you should, but I think you should. I think it's a good idea. But when you're saying you should do this, you're coming in as your authority figure. You're saying, I know this is the route to go, right? And if you're sharing writing tips, for example, you're not saying, I think a good writing tip is XYZ. You're saying, like, this is a good writing tip that I know will help you and you should implement it. Full stop, right? Authority. So you're establishing authority as you're putting out your blog posts, your content, and then trustworthiness. Trustworthiness is as a result of all those things combined, right? If I can see that you're the expert, let's take, for example, a health blog. The only way I can trust a health blog and whatever information that you're sharing that you have to tell me is, number one, I can see that you are a healthcare professional. And that's clearly stated in your about page. I'm looking at your social media pages connected to your website, and I can see on your LinkedIn profile or your Instagram profile that you are actually a doctor at a facility that I can research and find out that it's actually a true location, right? So from showing expertise and experience and authoritativeness, it's easier. All of those lead to us trusting the content that you're putting out, because we can verify that, of course, this person has a track record of being an author or being a writer for the past 5-7 years, whatever the case may be. They didn't just come from nowhere and start talking. Okay, so keep that in mind when it comes to high quality content. Your about page is critical. Then as you're pushing out those content, the way you word your sentences is also very important. Now, as much as high quality content is important, the frequency of those high quality content is also key. The difference between a website or two different websites that are posting, they equally posting high quality content, but one is ranking and one is not, is the frequency of that posting. So I'm going to use name. I love using names when I'm talking so I can connect with the audience. So Jeremy, for example, Jeremy could be posting like twice a week. And please, if I butcher your name, forgive me, please. And then Deepa, because I can see her face and she's making me very excited to talk more. She may be posting like once a month, but Google would decide to rank Jeremy's content because he's posting more frequently, right? So as much as you want to put out high quality content, the frequency of that posting is also important. All right, so keep that in mind. Number one thing that you want to focus on as I'm speaking with you, high quality content that you're frequently putting out. So consistent publication of high quality content, number one, right? Then number two is your use of keywords. That is a non-negotiable, right? You always want to put out keywords in strategic places in your content. And by strategic places, I mean the title of your blog post, your keyword needs to be there, right? The first 2-3 sentences in your write-up, your keyword should be there. At least one of your subheadings, you should have your keywords. And then you're also looking at your meta description, the URL of your content. These are places where you need to have your keywords showing. Now, the conversation of keyword optimization could take me the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do, if Miss Rabi permits, is I'll probably just share my checklist of where you need to place your keywords. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So I'm going to share the checklist with her, and she can share that with you. So as you're writing your content, you can look at the checklist and say, all right, I've put my keyword here. Okay, this is here. This is done. We're good to go. But keyword placement is important. Now, why is this important? Think about it. Keywords, in short, are questions, or the ways, behaviors, how we ask questions on Google. So if the way I ask my question is pros and cons of energy drinks, I just put it on Google like that. And you are writing content about the same topic, but you did not use in your title, there was nowhere where you mentioned pros and cons of energy drinks. Let's say maybe you just said, maybe you had advantages and disadvantages of energy drinks. They're similar, right? You would think they are very similar. But that's not what people are putting in Google though. So you want to make sure that the keyword and the keywords that you're using, they are the same as what people are including. And by doing that, as we are searching, your content is there to meet. So it's a demand and supply kind of thing. You have the supply. We are the one demanding. And if we are both using the same language, it's easier for me as the one searching to find your content as the one posting, right? So that's why keywords are so critical, because it helps your target audience to find you, right? And you already have the good content. You already have the high quality content. So it's just playing a matching game to ensure that you are seen and you're found. Okay. And yes, I'm going to share that checklist to make that process easier. Okay. And then the next tip is backlinks. All right. Backlinks are the backbone of every blog that wants to rank. And what do I mean by backlinks? It's very simple. So I have Mega here and Mary. I'm going to use both names. So Mega is the blogger, right? Is the blog, the reference blog. Then Mary is the blog that I'm currently working on. I'm about to publish a post on Mary's blog, right? Now, I've published the blog post on Mary's blog, and then Mega was reading that blog post. She really likes it. She's like, whoa, this is really good. I want to link back to Mary's content. Mega also has a blog. So Mega now puts Mary's link on, I don't know if Mega is a she or he, but I'm going to say she. So, okay, cool. All right. So Mega puts Mary's link to Mary's blog post on her website. Now, what has happened is that Mary now has a backlink from Mega. And the more backlinks that Mary gets, the higher Mary's website's chance of ranking on Google. So let's say Mary gets a backlink from Mega, gets a backlink from Kathleen, gets a backlink from Jeremy, from Ravi, Winifred, everybody on this call. That's increasing Mary's ranking abilities, because Google highly respects backlinks, especially if they're coming from people in your industry, right? It's like begets like kind of thing. Show me your friend, I'll tell you who you are kind of thing, right? So the more backlinks that you get from credible websites, and by credible, people that you're talking about the same thing, similar things, it gives you that credibility, and Google starts to respect your website and start to position your website, put your website in front of people asking questions in your industry. So we want to get more backlinks. We love backlinks. We want them. How can you get more backlinks? Collaborating, guest posting, right? Reach out to one another. Can I post on your blog and you put my link on your blog, right? Can you take a look at this blog post on my website and see if you can insert it on one of your blog posts? That's how you start to connect and you exchange backlinks. And this is what I'm doing. This is what I do in my industry. My colleagues reach out to one another, ask if, oh, can I have a link to my blog post on your website, right? And then that's how we exchange backlinks. And we don't just do it viciously, but we make sure that we're linking to similar content, right? So as someone is reading a blog post on my website, right, they can see the link to my colleagues' content. They click on it, they go to that person's website. It's like not a domino effect, but a line that keeps going, right? And we're in the same industry, so it's nothing irrelevant. It's relevant to the topic of discussion. So backlinks, you want them, once again, you need them. And then the next thing is niche expertise, and which I already touched on it when talking about quality content, right? Writing is huge. It's a huge niche. I can call myself a writer because I particularly focus on SEO writing. That's what I do. Then you have those who focus on blog writing. Then you have some who focus on poem writing or whatever the case may be. So you have different, even sub niches in writing, right? So now if you decide to hone in on one of those sub niches and you do an excellent job at putting out blog posts that talk about like different topics in that niche, you're positioning yourself as the expert in that industry, in that niche. So for me as an SEO, my blog is pretty much SEO, everything SEO, right? That's very specific. I could as well brand myself as a writing expert, which I know I'm not, because I'm very, my niche is very tailored. It's very specific. Because when it comes to telling you about grammar and what punctuations and all that, I can't tell you that. No, don't ask me. You have people that's their area of expertise, right? So when you found your area of expertise and you hone in, right, you continue to publish content related to that industry, that niche, that helps you. It helps your ranking because Google starts to see you as the go-to person for that niche. And whenever someone is asking a question about poem writing tips, for example, it's your website that Google wants to show because they see that you've put in so much effort in putting out, consistently publishing high quality content when it comes to poem writing related topics, right? And then the next big one that I wanted to talk about is user engagement. Now, how can you get user engagement on your websites? The number one way to do that is, do you have call to actions at the end of your blog post? Do you have call to actions sporadically in your content? Let's say as you're sharing those writing tips with people, somewhere in the blog post, you're asking them, which one of these tips resonates with you the most? Or which one of these tips have you used? Have you practiced in your writing process? You're leading us, you're giving us a question that you'd like us to answer. And that's always a good idea because most of the time, we want people to tell us what to do. We have so many things that we're thinking about as humans. So when you're writing your content and you're putting it out there, don't just write and share all those tips and beautiful knowledge that you have and put a full stop to it. But ask a question. Give people a call to action. What do you want them to do? At the end of this blog post, what would you like them? How would you like them to engage with your content? That should always be at the back of your mind, because the more user engagement you get, the more visibility you have on Google, and the more your ranking abilities increase. It's like social media, right? You can see the difference between a page that when he or she, when they post a content on Instagram, for example, they get good engagement. A lot of people are commenting. Instagram tends to push those kind of content more. Same idea, the same idea with your blog post and your blog content. Now, I've talked about high quality content. I've talked about keywords, I've talked about backlinks, I've talked about niche, expertise, and user engagement. And I wanted to stress why those 5 things are critical and important, because number one, high quality content is 21%, takes 21% of the pie chart when Google is looking at ranking factors. So you can see how that's very, very important, 21%. Then keywords takes 15% of that chunk. Backlinks takes 14%, the same as niche expertise, that's also 14%. Then user engagement is 11%. The other things that I'm going to just touch on briefly, they're like anywhere from 6% down to 1%, right? So the most important ones, I've spent some time there talking about why you should, think about them and make sure that you're implementing them. Then the other ones are freshness. That's another thing. Every 3 months, I recommend that blog post that you published 2 years ago. It's dusty. Take a look at it. What do you need to update? Is something a tip that you shared? Do you have an updated tip that you'd like to add? Right? Update your content every 3 months. That's best practices when it comes to search engine optimization and positioning your content for better ranking. So always update your content. What you may be updating could be the title, right? Because maybe the title that you used 2 years ago no longer works. What you can be updating could be a statistic that you included 2 years ago that is now outdated, that needs to be updated. Maybe you referenced a blog 2 years ago, but somehow the blog is no longer in existence. And then it's leading to 404 error on your page not found. As people are clicking your blog, that's hurting your blog. So make sure you're checking your blog post and figuring out what is working, what needs to be updated, what can I move around, what can I add? Because you will agree with me, a blog post that you published 2 years ago, best believe it, you have more people that are ranking higher than you today. So how can you rewrite that content in a way that your content is now the best online, right? So there's always something to update. Did she just remove her video? I was getting excited just seeing her face deeper.
She'll come back.
And then trustworthiness. There she is. Trustworthiness, we already talked about that, so just keep it in mind. Mobile friendliness. That's something that you don't really think about as a writer, because all you want to think about is writing. That's what I think about to make sure that my content is top notch. But as a website owner, as a blogger, you also need to pay attention to the mobile friendliness of your site. Look at your blog on your phone and see, is the text easy to read, or it's very, very hard to read? Is it legible or not legible? Are the pictures showing clearly on mobile compared to desktop screen? You need to look at these things, because if a lot of people visit any form of website on their phone, so if your website or your blog is not friendly mobile wise, then that's something that you need to work with your designer, your developer, whatever the case may be, to ensure that is put in place. Then page speed can slow down your website, and if your website is slow, people don't want to visit. How can you ensure that you don't have a slow website? Number one, make sure that you're not including long videos on your website, which I don't envision you guys doing, because you're not in that industry where you use a lot of videos. If anything, it will probably be podcasting. Then another thing to keep in mind is the images that you use. Make sure that they are high quality images, but low file size. So before you upload those images on your website, just simple Googling, file size reducer, right? You're still maintaining the quality of that image, but the file size has been reduced. That's key. Because the higher the file size of the content that you have, the higher the chances that that content, that image will slow down your website or your blog. And then make sure that as you're writing your blog post, you're incorporating internal links. So you're saying, as the people are reading your content, you're also linking them to read other content on your website. So somewhere in your blog post, you can say related posts and give them a list of related posts on your blog. That's how you're incorporating. In every single blog post, you should have an incorporation of a blog post already on your website, in every blog post, no exception, because that's best practices. All right. And then you have some other factors that Google throws in there every now and then. Number one is like getting rid of spam accounts. These are things that Google just put in place to ensure that your blog, your website is safe for people to read. And then the way the technicalities of the website, like data structure and SSL security, like site security, those are things that you don't need to worry about. If your website was designed by an actual designer and a web developer, that's already put in place. But the key things are what I've already shared with you guys. And I think I'm supposed to end at 10, it's 3 minutes. Hopefully I can take one question. But all these things that I've mentioned over the past 20, 25 minutes are critical things that I'd hope that you keep in mind. And I'm going to share that checklist right now so she can share it with everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. I mean, you can go over if that's okay. We're just going to open for questions after group pictures. So I'm sure people love to listen to you. So that's not, nobody's going to. But before we go into questions, we like to do a group picture. And Josh will give us a count of 3. If you're comfortable, please turn your camera on. If you're not,
All right. Let's see. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And let me do one more just in case. 1, 2, 3. All right.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. This is amazing. A lot of good stuff in here. I'm going to open it up for questions. Did you want to add anything else before, or you're good?
I'm good. I'm just
Okay.
trying to get the checklist so I can share
All right.
that.
If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat because you can't really unmute and ask, and we'll be happy to answer them.
You can ask. I love questions.
I can see people typing it up. So.
Okay. Yeah, I see it too.
Yeah. Oh, they're asking about your blog. You want to put that in the chat?
Oh, yes. If you want to know everything, well, maybe not everything, but like most things about SEO and how to do keyword research and all that, my blog is where to visit. I have like blog posts with 7,000, almost 10,000 words, that detailed. So definitely visit. Oh, you're welcome. It is my mission to make SEO easy. It's not that complicated. It's very fun.
Thank you for that.
It's a lot of work.
That's yeah, appreciate it. I think you also have a book. So do you want to tell us the title? I remember you have a book about,
Yes.
is it about SEO?
I do have a book. It's Mastering the Art of Blogging in SEO. Yes, I do have that. Now, the only reason I don't want to share that is because I'm working on the updated version, which is going to
Oh,
be
I see. All right. I don't know
in
that. All
July.
right.
Yeah,
Okay. Whenever you're ready, we can
absolutely.
get it in the library so people can read.
All right. Sounds good.
I think Vidya has one question. Let me just see the chat.
Do you have more tips on getting people to link to your website? Yes. So another tip that you can use for people to link back to your website beyond you sharing quality content, because most of the time, if you have quality content, you don't even need to do guest posting. I stopped doing guest posting like 2-3 years ago because the quality content itself does the job. People see it, they want to link back to it, right? So that's number one, foundational. Then the guest posting, there's nothing wrong with that. Another thing that I recommend, which I've done also, is joining Facebook groups of people in my industry. So by joining those Facebook groups, I can connect, or you can connect with your industry partners there and see who is willing to like exchange links. There's nothing wrong with it, right? As long as it's done purely, and once again, the content they're related. But those are the major ways. And another thing is off-page SEO is also important. So as you're going on someone else's show, podcasting, or you're talking, share your links with people. And as they're including social mentions, as they're mentioning your blog on their social media pages, that is also considered as a backlink sort of, right? That can also help to improve your ranking factor. So social mention is also critical and can help.
Makes a lot of sense. There's some more questions. Yeah.
See, another question. I write about life incidents and
No,
thoughts.
Vidya is asking before that, how often should we post?
Where's that? Did I miss that?
Yeah.
How often? Oh, yeah. How
See it
often
now?
should we post?
Yeah.
Honestly, the very least, once a week. Once a week. That's the very least. Yeah. And then I write about life incidents and thoughts on my blog. How should I use keywords in the title? Yes. So keywords, it's actually not a guess game. It's more of research. So there are tools that you can use for that. And these tools include Answer the Public, using Ubersuggest to test out keywords. And that's what I was saying, that conversation could take me an hour, 30 minutes to discuss with you. But these are the tools that you use to figure out what keywords are people in your industry using when they're asking questions. So that helps you to streamline the process and remove the guesswork from the game. Yeah. But I know that's very vague. It's not as practical.
And I highly encourage you to check out her blog, her website, and her social media page. She goes live, she gives tips. You know, it's a lot of information. And the important thing is she makes it easy. Like she just said, it's so big, like, oh my God, SEO, all these words and backlinks. But I've learned by just listening, reading. So all authors, all writers, I think should have a blog, should have a website, because that's part of your growth. So, and to keep it alive and to keep it going, keep the traffic coming is important as well. I'm going to wait a minute and see if we have any more questions, or we could close.
And I'm going to share the checklist in the chat. I think
All right, yeah.
File.
And if you want to email that to me later, I can send it with the thank you email. Okay, I saw she just shared something in
Yes, I just shared it.
Right. All right, I will make sure the participants get it with a thank you email, with a group picture and the recording when it's uploaded. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Ruth. I know you had a very busy schedule. I really appreciate you making time for it. Thank you, Josh, for always hosting. And thank you all. I'll see you again on April 17th. My guest is a children's picture book author. He's going to be joining from the West Coast. Don Swaby is his name. So I'll see you all next month. Thank you, everybody. Have a good week.